good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Big Joel Show. Very excited today because I have Frances Katzen, she's already laughing, in the studio with me. And I think this is going to be a great episode, and there's going to be all kinds of great takeaways for everybody watching today. So welcome, Frances Katzen.
Thank you, Joel,
We just had a big debate on whether Fran or Frances, so I'm going with Frances.
So as long as he calls me nicely.
Exactly, nicely, Frances. So Frances Katzen is one of the tippy top, I'll let her tell you exactly, Douglas Elliman in Manhattan, in New York City. And she is a real estate agent. How long have you been a real estate agent for?
Feels like forever. No, 15 years, 16 years now, right?
16 years. That is a very, very long time. Yeah. And Fran is always a top producer. Give us some of your bona fides just real quick.
Greatest hits, 2021, ranked number 2 for medium-sized team in the company, 6 in New York City. Last year, I dropped down to number 4.
Unacceptable.
I'm sorry. And the year prior, during 2020, I was 6, I think. So I think we're getting there, slowly but surely, up and down a little bit. But yeah,
all right.
Top 10.
And so, a lot of times when people hear about New York City real estate, other agents, they sort of check out. Because they go, oh, it's a weird market, it's a different market, there's tons of co-ops, it's all big, it's all luxury. I can never do that. They always check out. And one of the things that I know is cool about you is you don't care. Meaning whether it's a $400,000 something all the way uptown on the west side or a big luxury condo or co-op or whatever, you don't discriminate.
I don't have an ego about it.
And that's one of the cool things because you're what I call a grinder, meaning you want to close units and have a lot of happy clients. So, first question. We all know there's an accent. How did you get here? We know you're not from here. How did you get here?
I was born in Cape Town, South Africa. We migrated in '79 due to the apartheid, and I came to New York at 15 to join the New York City Ballet School.
Okay. So you came to dance at 15?
I came to dance.
No parents?
No parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long was that run?
I retired. I was, let me be clear, I was retired by injury in 2006.
Okay, so...
And then that's when real estate began.
And you just backed into it? You just knew
someone? My brother was an architect in New York who was quite established and a designer. And my mother was in property development in Sydney, Australia. So I had an interest in it. I just didn't know if I could do it. And I had a friend who said to me, you should do it. You're good at that. You could do that.
So you just, typical Fran style, got yourself licensed and then forced someone to hire you?
I lied.
Pretty much?
I basically lied about what I could do.
Some of the best of us lied at the beginning. It's all good.
I didn't have any admin experience whatsoever. I'd been standing on a stage for about a long time. And so I bought the book for dummies on how to open a computer, lied and told the people at Corcoran who I was trying to interview with, all 6 teams, that I would be a great assistant. They took me, the one townhouse specialist took me, and then about 3 weeks later, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, you're probably one of the worst assistants we've ever had, but you make a great agent.
So it was a new dev? You started doing new dev? I heard townhouse.
No.
Resales.
I hustled for everything.
This is 2006.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because you're right 18 months right up to the crash of the first crash. A lot of people in real estate right now, if you could, amazing, it's a long time ago. When I'm in front of groups of agents, I'll say, raise your hand, 10 years, 15 years, and I'm counting how many people saw that. And usually if there's, 50 people, it's like 5 maybe.
Thank you,
6.
Joel. You just made me officially bloody old.
Yeah, but you did it, Fran, when you were 10. So everyone else can do the math. It's all good. No, but so what happened there? So you just got your feet underneath you and then boom. And not only did the whole housing crash with the 80-20 debacle and the whole bit, and most of the areas that got destroyed were really not necessarily New York City. It was weird places in the middle of California and in Las Vegas and these communities that went up 100 miles an hour. They had crazy loans on them. The people defaulted after 2 years. They were gone. But in the city, there was a financial crash. So how did you cruise through that? Because really, you had stress right away.
Total.
18 months after you started, right?
Total. I think you change your business model. You have to be flexible. So there were more trades going on under 500,000. I did 30 deals under 500,000.
Little stuff. And
Little
back
stuff.
then, what was 500,000 in the city? A
Probably
one-room efficiency?
Yeah, studio, one bed. That's
Okay.
it. And it was cha-ching because all the parents were going, oh, good. I can get my kids, instead of paying overrated, campus cost or rental, I'm going to go into
all
owning
around
equity.
Columbia, NYU. People are snapping up those places.
FIT, the new school, game on.
Interesting. Okay. So you cruised through, and then the market starts coming back because obviously it was a financial mess.
Disaster.
New York is arguably the financial capital of the world. And so a lot of people, well, some people made money, but a lot of people lost a lot of money. Now, did they sell those units, or did they sit on them? The people, the financial services people with the big companies that literally went under, did they sell?
They did. They had to. There were people that lost stock when Bear crashed. I mean, there was no money. It was like the mortgage crisis. They were like cannibalizing the loans. They were trying to move them. People had 0% down on homes.
Fran,
It was the sugar
what lenders
high.
used to do is they would take a mirror and you like this, and you're approved. Literally, if you're breathing, you got a loan. So if you paid $1 million for it and it went to $950,
You were dead.
it's over.
Yeah.
Well, it's over for the lender, and
Yeah.
and the consumer said, well, I don't have anything in it anyway. Here's the keys.
Yep.
I'm out.
Yep.
Okay, so we go through there. So you started at Corcoran, right?
I did. I left the day Barbara Corcoran left.
Okay, and then where did you go?
I was invited to work with Michael Schvo on 20 Pine as a sales director, and and it didn't work out. And then I was devastated. And then the gentleman I did a deal with at Corcoran, who worked at Douglas Elliman, said, you should come to Douglas Elliman. And I thought, I don't know. And then I walked in, and it was game on. It was the best switch I ever made.
That's an old, good
Yeah.
New York
Yeah.
company, really. I mean, now it's obviously across the country, but
At
Douglas
the
Elliman
time-
was really known, New York Metro, Long Island, Hamptons, whatever. That was their core.
It wasn't
right?
as sexy as Corcoran. It was sort of like the bastard stepchild, if you will.
It was the workers.
It was the workers.
Right.
And then they changed their website, they separated from Prudential, and then Howard and Dottie just sort of brought it up. And suddenly we were dominant, 41% market share, et cetera. But it took time, but it was amazing company.
So were you just networking like crazy, or were you, I mean, did you do some new dev at the beginning so you could meet some people, or not really?
No, I was a hustler. I went after rental crumbs. I went after people who couldn't sell property for a client. I would beg to have an opportunity. I remember my first sale took me a couple of months to get it, and the guy basically said, okay, it's $2 million. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. And I took my furniture
$2 million when? Like 2011, 2010?
2006.
So that's a big deal.
That was a big
Yeah, that's
deal. And
Yeah.
I took furniture out of my own apartment and moved
You
it into...
staged it with your stuff.
Yeah. In a taxi. The guy's like, what are you doing? I said, don't ask, just help me. And I moved in and put all my
Is
stuff
that because you couldn't pay to have it staged? Or
Correct.
you just didn't
He
know?
wouldn't pay to do
Okay.
it. So I said,
You weren't
well,
going to pay either. Yeah.
I didn't have it.
Right, right.
So I moved my furniture in to make it look like a home, and we sold it. And I made more than what I made as a dancer in one sale than I made in a year.
It's amazing. I tell young people all the time, 23, 24-year-olds, I'm like, listen, you should get a real estate license, sell real estate. And there's a stigma, because when you're in a party and someone walks in and they're a realtor, everyone runs to the left. They're like, agent! Ah! They think they're going to get shaken down. So there's a stigma, meanwhile, they're idiots. I tell them, when you're 28, you'll be making 5 times more than all your friends. I'm like, you start doing this at 23 or 24, game over if you do the right things.
Let me just tell you.
And you experience that rush of that first check.
Totally. It was
Yeah.
such a weird thing. Here I was in a high art form of 1 percentile, and you'd sit at a dinner table and they say, oh my gosh, tell me about being a ballet dancer. And all of a sudden, I'm in the real estate industry, and they go, and what do you do? And I say, I'm in real estate. They go, pass the salad dressing, please.
Exactly.
It's like, ugh.
Please don't talk to me. I have nothing to buy. I don't want to sell anything. Leave me alone.
I never do that, though.
No, I get it. But so many people do. And
Yeah.
there's so many trainers that literally train agents to do that crap that I want to throttle Every one of them. They literally walk into supermarkets. They go in the deli section, slam someone to the ground, literally look down. Do you know anyone that needs to buy or sell? I'm like, where'd you get that script from? And they'll give me the name of the coach. I'm like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like this.
He just made money on you.
Do you not have any idea how the consumer feels? Okay, so you got your big hit. That probably put a lot of wind in your sails.
Total. I was like, I can do this. I'm no longer 30 grand in debt. Let's go.
Exactly. That's where it all starts. That's the best. When you gotta, I call that the some of the best success stories and some of the most successful people are burn the boats, meaning there's no, you landed on the island and the boat's gone.
There was no backup.
There's no place to go.
It was do or die.
There's no place to go. That's exactly
I was like,
right.
I'm not going back to Australia to work in a sandwich shop. Let's make this work, shall we? I'm not going to be a yoga teacher with macrame parts hanging. No, let's go.
So that put you on the map probably right away, even with Douglas Elliman. They took notice.
No.
You were still too tiny.
I was a little pisher, honey.
Still too little.
Total. I almost equate it to like mushrooms. Just put me in a dark room with fertilizer and watch me grow, because that's what they did for 10 years. They gave me very little opportunity. That's not true. They gave me opportunities and I jumped on them and I took them all the way to the top, for sure. I would get, can you take care of this client? And it was like a land lease with like 3,000 fleas and a camel, and please turn it and make it a great deal. And I had to do it. So, yeah.
So now we flash forward. We've heard all your bona fides, your number 2s, your number 4s, your number 9s, your number 8s, your number 1s, all of that stuff. Tell me, people ask me all the time, and a lot of times I just answer with the word grind, and they don't know what I'm talking about, because I guess I just don't understand why people don't like work. They just don't understand what it means. They just expect things to just materialize in front of them. Tell people a little bit about your day, because you've got 2 sassy little kids that I know you have to get out of the house in the morning and do. Tell people just about your day, when you normally start, assuming there's not a kid in your bed, when you normally start, when you start looking at emails, when you start going, what you do, because you're rolling all day.
I don't stop, and I'm 7 days a week, but I'm really clear about boundaries in terms of giving my children full focus. I think screens can be a really bad message for kids. Sorry, that's my story. The classic day, it starts at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, depending on when I'm woken up. Hi, Mom, come and play with me. Woo!
Yeah.
I check my emails when he is nibbling on something and ensconced on a train set.
My 4-year-old is doing it. Yeah.
And then I get my 10-year-old up and I get her dressed and fed and I prep breakfast for them. When it hits 7 o'clock, I jump in the shower and then I take them to school, and then I'm on, literally on, and I don't stop. But you can be very efficient in a much more condensed time. I think working smart, you don't have to actually grind. I was in my top 10 in the company in my 4th year, and I was working till 10 o'clock at night. Now I know how to get it all done fast. You learn to prioritize. And I think people are frightened of working fast, but you have to be articulate, except in my texts that Joel knows with voice dictation.
Just so we're all clear, everyone. Fran only uses voice to text, and part of the whole game is figuring out what the hell she's talking about. Okay,
Franisms.
And you don't want to call her and say, "Fran, can you edit that?" Because she'll hang up on you. So it's really more trying to figure it out. It's a whole game. Anyway.
I work with all sorts of clients from overseas, from Asia.
So you have weird times.
Weird times.
Yeah.
I'm doing 8 a.m. conference calls on Tuesday, standing meetings. I'm doing calls to Australia.
And that's like 6 o'clock someplace else, right?
Yes, it's actually 8 o'clock in Asia. So it's like
24 hours.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and also getting clients out. If I have a client coming in from California who's in the movies, you make sure that you plug 3 days back to back, and I can usually close them within that period to have them identify. I'm very good at streamlining it very quickly. I don't do 7 years of showings. I'm good at crystallizing it.
So how would you tell people how to start working faster? Normally what I see is people learn how to work faster when they just get more proficient and they get better. Meaning at the beginning, it probably took you 30 minutes to do a task, whatever it was.
Correct.
And now it probably takes you 7 minutes, whatever it is. And that is pure experience. Like you couldn't have read a book and taken off 23 minutes. But what are some things that you see agents just all the time, just either dwelling on, burning time on, things they should not be doing? I mean, number one is obviously not using transaction coordinators. It's just insane that they're doing that work. No, you know what I mean? That they're doing all that busy work. You have people doing it's the same thing.
I used to do it all, and I think it is a rite of passage, though, Joel.
Right.
I do think they need to understand the nuances of preparing a
I'm
deal
talking about
sheet.
one they know, though.
Oh, delegate, honey, delegate.
Yeah.
Best money you ever spent. You
Yeah.
can't afford not to. In order to create real income, you have to delegate.
So I have agents will tell me all the time, really good agents. I was with one last week. Good. 100 unit a year person, which is good.
A lot.
Doesn't matter what your average sale
yeah.
price is. That's a lot of
Yeah.
units, right? And she's like, but I just need, they just, I'm a very hands-on, she was saying. So I challenged her. I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. Your next 5 closings, I'm going to take all 5 people out to lunch, nice lunch. I want you to get wine, have some wine, eat some lunch. And at the end go, I'm wondering, could I ask you a couple questions? I'm trying to make my whole service better. Could I ask you about parts of the process that you liked and disliked? I said, and then I dare you to go through and ask about things that you didn't delegate and see if they cared. And by the way, she called me back and she's like, oh, you were right. They didn't care. Meaning if she was there or not, they just literally didn't care. But there were certain things they cared about. And I'm like, those are the things you need to show up for. Everything else, delegate. But I agree with you. If you don't know how to do it, you can't delegate.
Correct.
If you're delegating before you know how to do it, you can't. What other things do you see agents just making mistakes on all the time?
Agents avoid doing the hard stuff. And the hard stuff is getting in front of clients, making the call, getting into a place where they're not comfortable and going anyway. Like I'm a big believer on calling people you don't know, cold call. And it's not for everybody. They hate it. It's so frightening. I do it all the time in front of them.
You just do it for practice, right?
I do it in front of them.
Right.
I know. I mean, I actually called a client and got a $7.5 million listing by cold calling him in one day. And it was about 3 weeks ago. My agents were like, I don't believe you did it. How did you do it? I said, well, I know the building. I've sold in the building. I know the client. He went with a friend that was close to him. It's not selling. And I said, this is what you need. And it created doubt. And in that experience, it converted to me.
So that's sort of like a just do it kind of thing.
I'm a big believer. Stop talking about it. Just bloody do it.
And they get in their own head.
Total.
And they won't do
They
it.
think about it. They're too analytical. Well, I mean, and then I just need my list and they fusk around. I'm like, what are you doing?
By the
Do
way,
it.
that was fusk. You don't have to mute that. That was fusk. So, it's amazing too that I always tell people, if you're nice and somebody hangs up on you, you don't care. You're nice. Now, if you call someone and you come hard on the phone and someone's mean to you or nasty to you, you deserve that.
100%.
But if you're nice and they're mean, you don't care. That's how I usually get people over cold calling. I'm like, just be nice.
I tell my agents it's about help. It's. I know this sounds really wooja, but it's really about contribution. Like, I see that you're really struggling. Can you tell me what's been going on? I'd really like to give you some information. No strings attached, but let me know how long you want to try it on your own, and then I circle back with
You're
me.
talking about a FSBO right now, right?
Yes.
You're talking about a FSBO or just an expired listing.
Expired, FSBO, all the time. It's about getting connected. May I send you a little bit of information about who I am and what I do?
Never ceases to amaze me that nobody makes those calls.
It's free money.
It's like, wait a minute. They should be getting 100 phone calls in a row.
We had a
and
game.
people don't make those calls.
We had a game during COVID. I said, whoever makes 50 calls in the week gets an amazing
Expired
holiday.
and FSBOs,
anything,
right?
Anything.
Yeah.
You can also call owners that are under exclusive about rental. It's not illegal. That's another way to connect with people. There are many different ways to do it. But it's amazing. And we had people lying. Really? You made those calls? I'm not seeing any follow through. How does that work if you've made 50 phone calls? Don't lie to me.
So if you're a new agent getting in now, anywhere, not just in New York, what type of things would you have people focus on?
First of all, sphere of influence. Who are you around? What are your affiliations with schools, clubs, religious groups, family, and also joining up with someone who can kind of give you a little bit more of a platform to differentiate yourself amongst the other donuts that are hawking.
Like a mentor?
Mentor or a team. Sometimes working for a team or a mentor that has a broad reach helps you see and attain all of the nuances much more efficiently, very quickly. I think people try to, I can do, okay, you can do it, but first you've got to walk before you can run. And I think in this market, it's quite dynamic, and I think you can miss a lot. You learn quickly, but I think it's quicker, and access to property.
How many transactions? I think it's between 50 and 75. How many transactions do you need to do to really sort of kind of know what you're doing as an agent? I think it's a minimum of 50.
I would have to agree with you. I think at least 75 to really get there.
So just hearing you say that, and hearing you say people, oh, I can do this, I got this, and they're selling 3 houses a year. They sold 9 houses over 3 years.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you could have an IQ of 180. It doesn't matter. This is experiential. I mean, you need to do this. You need to, I always use the funny thing, you don't deal with this where you are, you might deal with it in the Hamptons or something, but the first time you learn what a private road maintenance agreement is, the hard way, you can't, that's just not something you're looking up.
No,
that's
it's like an Aztec.
getting you in a lot of trouble, and then you got to go fix it, and you're like, what happened? But it'll never happen to you again.
You'll never forget it.
And no one's going to sit you down and go, let me tell you about, nope, it's just going to come up.
It's
and then you're going to have to deal with it. It's like a baby bomb. And I always say your success or failure is not is how well you deal with your screw ups, because you're going to screw up. It's impossible. There's no way. There's too much going on.
And you also have to learn how to fix it. I think that's the skill of where the real agents come out of, and the ones that are sort of order taking, the ones that know how to turn it around. And that you cannot teach.
That's where we are right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw, but 60,000 agent licenses handed in the last couple of months, and there's going to be more and more and more. And it's a flight to quality for the consumer, and with agents and with the loan and with lenders.
Good.
They are done with, oh, she or he is nice, or that's my uncle, so I'm going to give him the listing. They're done. They're
that's
like,
what's happening right now.
I want a pro. And so if you're a pro and you practice your craft, you can have an incredible business right now, like incredible.
Totally agree with you. It is all about skill and accuracy. And if you are good, you know how to turn it and shift it. And some things are out of your control. I had a conversation with an owner yesterday. He's like, what is going on? I said, there's nothing going on. And that's the scary part. But you have to trust your product and trust that it ebbs and it flows. We just had Memorial Day weekend. We're good. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you have to really stand by that, and you have to know how to navigate that. And is it a price thing? Is it a timing thing? Is it a season? It's like there's a lot. You have to be really clear about it, because if you don't, they don't believe you.
And I think the big difference, what I've seen, and with agents every week, is the people that will literally do the work, and that are just organized and will do the work. And I used to say all the time, and I used to do big presentations to agents, and I was told, don't say that anymore. You're making people mad. I would say, does anyone know why you become a real estate agent? People would give me all these great reasons. I'd say, wrong. Here's the reason. So you don't have to have a business plan. Meaning, so you can literally get up, send 1,000 emails, eat a donut, and watch SpongeBob, and you're done for the day. And this is why the commissions could be so high that you literally could work an hour a day, and then and you have one commission or one big commission, and you're done. But the good news is those are the people you're competing against, which is, that's good. You want them as your competition, because they're really not working. As an agent, if you actually work, game on.
Yeah, you are grinding. I mean, the grind that you talk about, the work is maintaining the marketing, the touch campaign, following up with people, checking in with what's going on with your product, following up with brokers, calling back people that backed away.
I want to just touch on a couple of those things. Product, translation, that is all houses in your area. And when agents will say this to me all the time, Joel, I don't have anything to do. I'm like, fill up your car. This is obviously not in Manhattan. Fill up your car and go for a ride. Because if you don't know the neighborhoods that you're supposedly selling in, you suck. Turn your license in. Like, literally, what are you doing? You should know what's going on. You should know. When someone gets on the phone with you, look, if it's an hour away, you don't have to know in Westchester where a neighborhood. You can look it up. But if we're in your zone,
you better know
anywhere in Manhattan, you better have at least a baby clue.
100%.
Right? And I think agents I don't know what it is. The other big thing I'm hearing from agents, and this is not going to change for a long time, is the networking piece is huge. Meaning the knowing each other is big. People make fun of agents for years. Oh, Tuesday open house. What are the agents doing? They're all drinking and eating. Are they even working? What are they doing? And people don't understand. I'm like, no. They're actually working. Like, if you hire an agent to list your property, you want that agent at the party, because you want her or him networking with those people so someone will come sell it. That's part of their job. A lot of agents they're not really catching that. They're there and they're drinking and they're eating, but they're not really connecting with anybody.
You're so right, actually. And I think
That's a big piece, right?
That's a huge piece. And I think you taught me that actually in our conversations about really making a point to connect. I think I get into a place where I'm so efficient that I can help people, but I don't want to get too close. But actually doing that, it comes anyway. I get referral without getting into braiding their hair and spooning them. But I do think there's an element of that is incredibly important. But I think the agent part is most agents are so competitive in the city that it's hard for them to trust in bringing them in as much. So it's an ego
West Coast thing as well.
Yeah.
It's a West Coast thing as well. But in this kind of market, I think we're gonna have tight inventory for a while. This is not gonna go away in a month. Knowing people is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you have a buyer and someone else has a seller, and it's game on. And it's not like the old put it on, wait, whatever, time on market, whatever it is. Okay. No, it's very different. And some people. Some of the most successful agents right now are getting deals done for their clients because they know people. The people are like, oh, I don't want to sell X because I have nothing to buy. And the agent's like, give me a day. Mm-hmm. I got something for you to buy. What? But that's not even.
We just
let me
did it.
know.
We just
and those are people that will refer you forever.
Yeah.
They're gonna be friends, the best agent we've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Because you just pulled a rabbit out of a hat. You really did it because you knew people. And you were able to make a phone call and go, hey, I've got someone that wants this. Anyone?
Yeah.
And one person probably went, right?
Yep.
And you made a sale.
Yep.
Well, you might have doubled it. I don't know. You might have got a listing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did.
That's incredible. Okay. So new agents really grind, know your craft.
Learn it, meaning practice it. Get out there, do open houses, get in front of people, get related to what you're doing. Learn how to make your presentation good and relatable. Don't try to be what you're not. Create what kind of broker do you want to be? Do you want to be a downtown broker, a listing specialist, a buyer's broker, an international broker? Have a sense of how you want to arrive into the market and how you want to bring that forward. I always ask my agents, what type of broker do you want to be? And they have to think in that.
Do they answer a rich broker? That
No,
would be a good answer.
They don't. They do. They say, I'd like to make money. I'm like, that's the byproduct. Now let's talk about how you want to be in the world. And I think also taking it seriously. I think there's this sort of idea that, it's such a low bar of entry. And I really don't have to do much. And I think the people that take it as a serious business are the ones that last, because there's this level of professionalism.
What makes real estate so awesome, because you're right. It's a low barrier to entry. But if you come in as a pro, it's game over. There's no one to even compete with you.
Totally.
I look at agents all the time. I'm like, you can just literally step on everyone. These people are literally eating donuts, hanging out, waiting for something to happen. You're actually working. You can literally just mow them down. There's no, and then what you can get to a point where you can, and I think we're at, you know how in real estate it's always been sort of that, like, you sort of roll by a place and you see a sign, you see a listing sign or whatever, and you're like, what is going on? That's mine. That's mine, right? But it's not. And then, of course, you guys can look it up now. Years ago, you couldn't. You look it up and you go, and you see that the agent's been licensed for like a day. Like, the ink is wet. No transactions, okay? And it's like the seller's nephew.
Exactly.
And if the seller doesn't give that deal to their nephew,
they're not
invited
Christmas
to Thanksgiving.
dinner.
It's
100%.
over. It's over. Like, they're ostracized, right? I think the market is twisting a little bit on that. I think that Aunt Mary doesn't care about Nephew Larry because she wants it done correctly. And in this kind of market, I'm seeing that little twist, which is a really cool thing for people like you, because you add transactions that you might not have had that the nephew got just because he or she got licensed. And in Manhattan, it's going to happen a lot because you have a high price point. And so these people, I'll get a license. I'll just sell my uncle's apartment and I'll make blah, blah, blah.
All the time.
Right?
They want to save cost. Also, that's the big issue. Is the seller wants to save cost by giving it to a nephew because they get a reduced commission, they get a kickback, the whole shebang. And I'm like, at what point are you trying to get the highest price versus saving on the back end? Let's talk. Let's do something. I just did that. Took it over from the
From the nephew?
Literally.
It is, I'm seeing, we
yeah.
are in a true flight to quality, which I think is awesome. And I don't think it's going to go away in a day. I think we're going to see it for a while. And in fact, I think when the market sort of normalizes, the other thing I'm seeing is people like you are taking market share, meaning are like, okay, I'm not going to stop. This is freight train mode. I don't care. I'm going to take market share. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to pancake everyone. So when the market normalizes and then everyone gets back in, oh, I'm an agent again. They're like, you're on this big hill looking down and they're like this and it's over. It would take them years to climb up that hill.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the best agents across the country are going all in. They're not on vacation.
No.
They're literally going, let's go.
Totally. I'm taking full advantage right now of every low-hanging fruit that's out there. I took over another listing that was sitting. I was like, what are you doing? And I happened to know the friend of the owner who didn't help me, but I just mentioned his name. And he's like, oh, you know him? There was instant trust. He saw my track record, 47 sales in the past X amount of months. He's like, done. We took it over. And I staged it. They couldn't get it staged.
You paid to stage it this time, though, right?
No.
You didn't use your own furniture?
No. They paid for that staging.
Exactly.
I said, you can't afford not to do it. Let's go.
All right. Well, we can go all day. I know. So I have to ask you the really important questions.
Oh, God.
What's your favorite thing to cook? By the way, Fran is an extremely good cook. What's your favorite thing to cook?
I could do the lamb shanks or the duck breast.
How about eating in a restaurant?
Oh boy, anywhere that has foie gras,
caviar
truffle.
cones.
Yes, we
That
went.
was kind of good.
That was good. That was a good.
That was
job.
kind of good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I love food. Good food, fresh
I'm
food.
aware.
I know.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
So, Fran, I just want to thank you for spending some time with me today. I think when people watch this, there's lots of good stuff in there. But the one thing to take away from Fran is not all the other good stuff, is that Fran is an FON. And what an FON is a force of nature, okay? Which means if there's a wall, she's gonna go through the wall and then say, now I'm on the other side, what do you want me to do? She's not gonna stand at the wall, look at the wall and go, how should I get over the wall? Maybe I'll look it up, how I'm gonna get over the wall. No, through the wall. So if you're selling real estate and you're competing against people like this, you better be going through the wall or you have a big problem. And the Frans of the world are here to actually take your business from you if you're not going to work. So one of the big takeaways is Fran's been, is it 16 years? How long? 17 years?
Yeah,
maybe?
I think it's 17.
17 years in the business, and she's still going like a freight train. There's no let up. And I will tell you, all the Frans I know are doing the same thing, which means it doesn't matter what market you're in, whether you're in Boise, Idaho, or New York City or wherever, those Frans in that market are game on, and they're not giving up.
I want to thank you too for having me. It's been so much fun. And I just want to add that we are so neurotic that we think that this might be the last trade we ever do. So that fear, I think, drives us to continue. We never want to be too good for our shoes, you know? It's sort of like we never trust it, just keep working as if it's your first deal.
This is a favorite thing that I always say to one of my other clients who sells a lot of real estate. Okay, when he's having whatever, I'm like, oh, I think you should just get out of the business. Nothing's gonna happen. It's over. Like the sky is falling. I think you should just go to take a nap. Just quit. And then the next day, I'll get a phone call. I just took a $10 million listing. I'm like, exactly.
Thank you.
Shut up.
Thank you.
Shut up and keep your head down. So everyone, thank you so much. This is another edition of the Big Joel Show with Francis Katzen with Douglas Elliman in New York City and all the boroughs, especially Brooklyn. And thank you very much.
Real estate agents that want to take their business to the next level know that they need Big Joel and his exclusive Crush program. Crush is all about results. No shiny objects, no magic pills, no shortcuts, just real systems and tactics to triple your sales in 12 months. Joel will help you to install easy-to-implement strategies to raise your hourly rate and have fun doing it.
I loved everything Joel said.
I loved that he really focused on relationships.
I learned some new things, some things that I'm going to implement in my business immediately.
I thought he was wonderful. I love the way that he takes business and makes it personal.
Learn more about Big Joel coaching and sign up today at www.bigjoel.com.